My name is Emma, and I am 29 years. Last month, my mother sent me a birthday card with a Christmas photograph inside that showed my entire family, my parents, my brother Ryan, his wife, his children, smiling together in the living room I had grown up in. Nobody had left a space for me. I had been working a double shift that Christmas. The architectural firm had a deadline, and I had volunteered or been volunteered, which was a distinction I had been examining more carefully lately, and I had missed the gathering and sent gifts ahead and called on Christmas morning and told myself it was fine. The photograph told me it was fine. They had arranged themselves perfectly without me. The particular arrangement of people who have not noticed an absence because the absence has become so familiar it no longer registers as one. I set the card on my kitchen counter. I went to make coffee. And I stood at my kitchen window looking at the ordinary Tuesday street below and thought about all the Christmases before this one, all the times I had been present in that living room and had felt, despite being present, somehow adjacent to the warmth rather than inside it. Ryan had always been inside it. That was the thing I was finally letting myself see. Growing up, Ryan had been the easier child. Not smarter. I want to be precise about that because precision matters. Not more talented or more deserving or more worthy of love. Just easier. The particular ease of a child whose personality happened to match what his parents found naturally engaging, outgoing where my father was outgoing, warm and demonstrative where my mother was warm and demonstrative, interested in the things they were interested in. I was quieter, more internal. The kind of child who read in corners and had opinions about things that required explanation and asked questions that didn't always have comfortable answers. My parents loved me. I want to say that too because it is true and the story is more complicated than parents who didn't love me. They loved me. They just found Ryan easier to love. And over years, the easier love had accumulated more presence, more interest, more of the particular investment that looks like attention and feels like being chosen. I had spent 29 years telling myself it was my imagination. The photograph said otherwise. I called my best friend Layla the night the photograph arrived. She had known me for 11 years, had been present at enough family gatherings to have her own observations, had listened to enough late-night phone calls to have a fairly complete picture of the dynamic I had spent 2 decades minimizing. My mother sent me a birthday card, I said when she answered. That's nice, she said. With a Christmas photograph inside, I said. Of the family. Without me. A pause. Without a space for you, she said. Not a question. Without a space, I said. Emma, she said. I know, I said. No, she said. I mean, Emma. This has been happening for 29 years. The photograph is just the first time it's been visible on paper. I sat with that. Tell me, she said. Not the managed version. The real one. So I told her. The real version, not the one I had been telling myself for 29 years, the one where my parents loved us equally and Ryan just happened to get slightly more because of circumstances and timing and the particular accidents of personality. The real version where I looked at the pattern clearly and called it what it was. Ryan's school plays were in the front of my parents' photograph albums. Mine were in the back. Ryan's university graduation had been celebrated with a dinner at a restaurant with a dress code. Mine had been celebrated with a dinner at home because it's more intimate. Ryan's career choices had been supported financially, practically, with the particular investment of parents who believe in a child's potential. My career had been supported verbally. We're so proud of you, said genuinely, without the backup of anything concrete. Ryan's wife had been welcomed into the family with the warm immediacy of someone who had always belonged. My boyfriend of 2 years had been treated with the polite distance of someone who might not stay. Individual incidents. Collectively, a pattern. You've always known, Layla said when I finished. Yes, I said. I just kept explaining it away. What changed, she said. I looked at the photograph on my kitchen counter, at the smiling family in the living room with no space where I should have been. They stopped leaving a space, I said. That's what changed. It used to be that I was there and slightly adjacent. Now I'm not there and nobody noticed. What are you going to do? She said. I'm going to talk to my therapist, I said. And then I'm going to talk to them. Dr. Anna had been my therapist for 18 months. She listened to the full account, the photograph, Layla's call, the real version I had finally told out loud. How does it feel, she said, to say it without the qualifiers? Lighter, I said. And heavier simultaneously. Tell me about the lighter, she said. Like I've been carrying something in the wrong way, I said. Like I've been holding it at arm's length so it didn't fully land, and saying it out loud without the qualifiers means it's landed. And landing is lighter than hovering. And the heavier, she said. Because if it's real, I said, then I have to decide what to do with it. And deciding what to do with it is harder than explaining it away. What do you want to do with it? She said. I thought about the photograph. About 29 years of being slightly adjacent to the warmth in my own family. I want them to know, I said. Not to punish them. Not to make them feel guilty. I want to look at my parents and say, this is what it has been like. This is what the pattern has cost me. And I want them to actually hear it. And Ryan, she said. I thought about my brother. Ryan, who had always been inside the warmth without ever examining why. Ryan, who had not designed the dynamic and had also benefited from it completely. Ryan too, I said. Eventually. But my parents first. I drove home on a Saturday. Not for a family gathering. There was no gathering scheduled, which was itself a choice. I had called my mother on Wednesday and said I wanted to come home to talk. She had said, of course, Saturday is fine, we'll have lunch. The particular ordinary warmth of a mother who did not know what was coming. My father was in the garden when I arrived, the particular focused domesticity of a man who found peace in growing things. He looked up when my car pulled in and smiled the genuine smile he always had for me, and I felt the particular complicated emotion of someone who loves a person and also needs to tell them something difficult. We had lunch first. My mother's cooking, the specific warmth of food made by someone who shows love through feeding, the particular taste of home that exists nowhere else. I ate and talked about work and let the ordinary rhythm of a family lunch establish itself before I said what I had come to say. Then I set down my fork. I want to talk about something, I said. My parents looked at me. About the family, I said. About a pattern I've been seeing for a long time and haven't said anything about. My mother's hands went still on the table. My father set down his glass. I told them. Not everything at once. I had learned from Dr. Anna that overwhelming people with accumulated evidence caused defensiveness rather than hearing. I started with a photograph. The birthday card. The Christmas gathering where nobody had left a space. We didn't think, my mother started. I know, I said. That's what I'm telling you. You didn't think. That's the pattern. She stopped. I told them about Ryan's graduation dinner versus mine. About Ryan's career support versus the verbal pride that hadn't been backed by anything concrete. About his wife's welcome versus my boyfriend's polite distance. My father was very still through all of it. Emma, he said when I finished. I didn't realize. I know, I said. I believe you. Not realizing doesn't make it not real. We love you, my mother said. I know, I said. I know you love me. I'm not saying you don't love me. I'm saying the love has been expressed differently. And the difference has cost me something. What has it cost you? My father said. I thought about the honest answer. The assumption of being chosen, I said. The baseline certainty that I belong at the center of my own family. The photograph. I paused. When you sent me a birthday card with a Christmas photograph that had no space for me, that told me something. Not that you don't love me. That you don't always think of me as essential. My mother's eyes filled. You are essential, she said. Then show me, I said. Not with words. with what happens after today. Ryan called me that evening. My parents had told him about the conversation. I had expected this and had decided it was okay. Ryan needed to know. The conversation was not a secret. He said when I answered. His voice careful. The specific careful of someone who has been told something and is figuring out how to hold it. Hey, I said. Mom called, he said. I know, I said. Is it? He stopped. Is it really like that? Has it really been like that? I thought about how to answer. From where I was standing, I said. Yes. I didn't know, he said. I know you didn't, I said. You were on the inside of it. You don't see the architecture from the inside. What can I do? He said. The question surprised me. Not because Ryan was unkind, he wasn't. But because the question required him to acknowledge that there was something to do. That his position in the family had come at a cost to mine. That the warmth he had always been inside was not equally distributed. Leave space for me, I said. In the photographs. In the conversations. In the family. Okay, he said. Simply. Completely. And Ryan. Yes. I don't blame you, I said. I want you to know that. You didn't design this. I know, he said. But I benefited from it. Yes, I said. You did. I'm sorry, he said. 2 words. The inadequate real thing. I know, I said. Keep leaving space. Change came slowly. Not in the dramatic way of a single conversation that transforms everything overnight. I had not expected that, and I want to be honest that it didn't happen. What happened was smaller and more real than transformation. My mother called me the following Sunday. Not because something had happened, not with news or a reason. Just a call. To ask how I was and mean it and listen to the answer without pivoting to Ryan. The call lasted 40 minutes. I noted it. I did not make it a moment. I simply received it and let it mean what it meant. Which was that she had heard something on Saturday and was trying to apply it. My father sent me an email. This was unprecedented. My father did not send emails. He was a man of phone calls and garden conversations, and the particular physical presence of someone who communicated best in person. An email from my father was itself a statement of effort. He had written about the graduation dinner. I have been thinking about what you said, he wrote. About Ryan's graduation dinner and yours. I remember your graduation. I remember being proud. I don't remember why we didn't go to a restaurant. I think your mother suggested home because she thought you'd prefer it. I think we should have asked you. I read the email twice. Then I wrote back, thank you for thinking about it. That means something. He responded within the hour. I should have thought about it sooner. The next family gathering was Ryan's birthday in April. I went. Not with the particular braced quality of someone attending something that will cost them, with the cautious openness of someone who has said true things and is watching what grows from them. My mother had set a place for me at the head adjacent seat. Not Ryan's place, his own place was his own. But mine. A specific place that had been thought about and set deliberately. It was a small thing. It was not a small thing. Ryan made a toast. To family, he said. All of it. Everyone at this table. He looked at me when he said everyone. Directly. With the specific intention of someone who has decided that looking directly is the minimum required. I raised my glass. My parents raised theirs. And for the first time in 29 years, I sat at a family gathering and felt not adjacent to the warmth. Inside it. Tentatively. Imperfectly. With the particular awareness of someone who knows this is new and fragile and requires tending. But inside. The second photograph arrived 6 months after the first. Not in a birthday card this time. Just an envelope, my mother's handwriting, no occasion. Inside was a Christmas photograph from the previous year, not the one she had sent before. An older one. From when I was 16 and Ryan was 18, and we were both home, and the photograph showed all four of us in the living room in the particular chaotic warmth of a family Christmas that was full and complete. On the back, my mother had written, "I found this going through old albums. I wanted you to have it. You are in every important photograph. I just forgot to make sure you knew that. I won't forget again." I sat at my kitchen table and held the photograph. At 16-year-old Emma in the living room, inside the warmth, completely present in a family that was hers. She had always been inside it. The architecture had just obscured it sometimes. I put the photograph on my drafting table, the good one, the large one I had saved for months to buy, positioned by the window that got the best morning light, where I would see it every day. Where 16-year-old Emma would look back at me from the center of her family and remind me that the space had always been there. It had just taken 29 years and a birthday card with a Christmas photograph to make it visible enough to claim. I want to say something to you. If you have been the sibling who is slightly outside the warmth, if you have spent years at family gatherings feeling adjacent rather than central, present but not quite chosen, loved but not quite seen, you are not imagining it. The architecture of family favoritism is real even when it is not deliberate. Even when nobody designed it. Even when everyone involved would be genuinely shocked to hear it named. It is real and it costs something and you are allowed to name it. Not to destroy. Not to punish. To say, this is what it has been like. This is what the pattern has cost me. And I need something to be different. Some families, when shown the photograph, will look at the empty space and say, "Oh, we didn't see it. We'll leave space next time." And then they will. That is not everything. It is not 29 years returned or the architecture undone or the pattern erased. But it is a space deliberately left. And a space deliberately left is the beginning of being chosen. You deserve to be chosen. Not as an afterthought. Not adjacent to the warmth. In the center of it. Where you always belonged. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Were you the sibling who was slightly outside the family warmth? Share your story in the comments. I read every single one. Tell me where you are watching from. I love knowing how far these stories reach. Until next time, claim your space. It was always yours.